uh, video podcast with a very dear friend of mine. The whole way, the other side of the globe, Stewart from Australia. He's my dear friend. I've known him for, it seems like a lifetime. He's my dear friend. And
Probably,
I've known him and his family.
maybe 10 years, maybe 10 years, more than 10 years.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But it's almost like we've grown up together, you know? I mean, we've met each other, what, one time?
Yeah, 7 years ago. Do you believe
Yeah.
that 7 years ago?
Yeah. And,
2013, when we were over there and we drove from Washington,
mhm,
like for hours and hours and hours, and then we met up with you. We went for dinner, and then we drove back
yes.
hours and hours and hours. Probably 3.5, 4 hours. Is that about right? From
Yes.
yeah, back to our hotel, and got there like 3, 4 in the morning, and
Mhm.
yeah, but it was an unbelievable experience.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Elliot was just really small there, and Riley was just little, and
Yeah,
yeah,
Riley was 5. Riley's
yeah,
12 now. He started high school just before the pandemic,
yeah.
so he had 2 weeks in high school, going to the physical high school, and then the last 3 weeks of his last 5 weeks of his term was sitting in front of a computer doing homeschool
So
by the
now,
internet.
so now during this pandemic, did they pretty much just end his term for the rest of the year, and he's doing everything from home now?
Yeah, so when it started, because there was so much uncertainty, does he go to school? Does he not go to school? And our government was saying that it was safe to go to school, and they're still saying that it doesn't pose a high risk for young people to be going to school. It's more the teachers
Mhm.
interacting and then going home, and interacting with their families that they were more concerned
Mhm.
about. But so he went to school for another week after it all started, and then we decided that it, we don't have essential jobs, so I could stay home and I could look after him. Actually, he's fantastic. He sits and does all his work, and he does more. He loves it. He absolutely loves it. And
Yeah.
the way it's all set up now online is that they get scores so they can see how all the other kids are doing in the whole school. So he's in the first grade of high school. What do you call that in America? First grade.
First grade.
First grade. So we call it year 7. Yeah. So he
Yeah.
started year 7, the first year of high school, and
Oh, wait a
he's
minute. Wait,
leading
wait, wait,
the
wait, wait,
whole.
wait. So you're
Sorry,
saying he's in seventh grade then?
he's in the seventh grade. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So then that would be junior high. So yeah, that would be seventh grade, not first grade. First grade for us is like right after kindergarten. So
Right.
so yeah. So again, that gets into the
So
whole aluminum
seventh
thing
grade.
that we talked about the other day. All right,
Yeah, we
good.
call it year 7. So year 7, but
Yeah.
because he's doing the homeschooling, you can see he's doing all these extra work online to get
Mhm.
the points to stay ahead of everyone. So he's ahead of the whole school, you know, online, with all the work.
That's
So he
awesome.
loves it. He loves the challenge. Loves the competition.
That's the key right there. The competition right there. The
Yeah,
mindset. He's gonna
wants to
come out
stay
of there
ahead.
being a lion, man. That's awesome.
He
And he
is. I
learned it
can't,
from you.
like, school will finish at 3 here. He won't get off the computer until 6, 7 o'clock at night. It's like, and he's not playing with his friends. He's just doing the work.
Now
And
what's now what does
wish
he
I
want
was
to
like
do
that when I
then?
was his age.
Yeah, me too. Now what does he want to do then once he graduates? Like what are his goals?
Um, so he wants to be an astronaut. He
Okay.
wants to be the first person to go to Mars, and he's serious. Like, he's so
Yeah.
serious. He's already picked out his university that he wants to go to, and like, he's told us, he's been telling us for years. So it's awesome. It's great to have somebody that is so motivated,
Oh yeah.
and then actually follows up and does
Hmm.
it. And we're going to talk about that in marketing, and
Oh yeah.
and in business as well, to be, for what success is. And
Hmm.
success is not ideas. Success
Hmm.
is actually making those ideas come true.
Yes.
Getting up and doing things. So
yeah.
So like tennis, if you don't practice it, you don't get good at it.
Yeah. So let's talk about this a little bit. We met many years ago. Do you want to tell the story about how we met originally? Because it's kind of an interesting story. I mean, I think it was really kind of social media that kind of brought us together.
Yeah. So I think I come across the charity that Elliot was working on.
Yep.
That he founded for the Children's Hospital.
Yep.
And I think he had I don't remember the name of it back then, but it was, like you could donate, and I just shot off a donation. I really thought it was a great cause, what he was doing. And I love to support great causes. And I think I might have sent off $10 or $20 or something like that. And it grew, and our friendship grew from that. I think I got a great thank you back, and that relationship started. And here we are many years later doing our first,
Oh yeah, we that was FTK for the kids. I think Elliot raised over $25,000 through like Little League and through just baseball in general for the kids at Pittsburgh Children's Hospital, because he was born with a club foot, and he wanted to kind of give back to the children in the hospital that couldn't get out and play sports and couldn't get out and do the things that he was able to do. And so we met that way. And then also, like, I know we'd connected on LinkedIn, and like we kind of started to share business ideas and things like that. And it's just amazing how we could be on opposite sides of the planet and connect. And it's almost like we're two peas in the pod, because we were able to kind of share ideas and connect so well on them. Even when looking at things around marketing and business. And you talk about tennis. You are a highly skilled tennis professional. Tell us a little bit about the Marconi Tennis and Squash Center, really kind of like your history, what you do, and how you help the youth prepare for a career in tennis.
So, it comes back from my childhood when I wanted to play tennis, and I'm one of six, the youngest of six, and we all went down one day to the local tennis courts, and because I was the youngest, and I was just told to sit there and you can watch. They wouldn't let me play because we had so many of them. 4 brothers and a sister, and that's too many on a court, so I had to watch, and I got really upset, and I said I'm going to be better than all of this one day. And and all these years later, I had my own successful tennis academy with hundreds and hundreds of clients a week, and and now I am so much better than them at tennis, which is really good. It's good because nobody in my family wants to play me in tennis. So I got really good at over the years, and I think that that defiance is can go two ways. And with me, it become a constructive defiance. I wanted to build things, I wanted to get better, and that's what my path took me along. Trying to be as constructive as possible in everything that I do. So I got to be a really good tennis player, and I found that I didn't personally have what it took to become the best. I was going to say I didn't have the opportunities, and I think that's not true. I think everybody gets the opportunities. I think you just got to persevere, and then overcome all the obstacles that are put in front of you and not stop. And eventually, I stopped, but I made the promise to myself that I'm going to train somebody and to be the best that they could be. And I've had the opportunity to train many people over the years, and a couple of players that I coached from the beginning, I got them through to a Grand Slam junior final, ATP points, took a set off Joe Wilfred Tsonga, which was one of the top 10 players at the time, so in the world. So I'm really happy with the successes I was able to help other people get. And that's what I love doing. I love helping other people get successes and the wins.
So really, what is your secret to, because I know you had mentioned that your drive through your own personal career has been that defiance, that I'm going to do it. I'm going to show them. I'm going to be the best. Now,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're right. And a lot of people, um, young people are told to don't be defiant. And what I've learned with training and working with thousands of people and different personalities is that defiance, we're all defiant. And
Right.
and it's really important to understand there's two different defiances. You're either a constructive defiant, you build things, or you're a destructive defiant, you destroy things. And you're either one of the or the other. And it's really important that when young people, act up or they do the wrong thing, they're told, they're being defiant, and they try, and parents and authorities try to drum that out of them. Is the idea is to encourage defiance, but encourage the constructive defiance.
Yes.
and teach the difference between the two.
Mm-hmm.
And what you'll find is that people are not going to deliberately hurt themselves. But they indirectly do become destructively defiant because they don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
But when you give people the choice and go, well, look, I want you to be defiant, and probably, that's why Riley is so driven to do, with the academics.
Mm-hmm.
And he's very defiant, but he's very constructively defiant. And that's the way Michelle and I have brought him up and given him those choices. We say, what do you think of the consequences are going to be if you continue to act that way? And then when he thinks about it, he chooses the other way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really important thing in the training that I do with people, is that you definitely need to be defiant. You need to be able to stand up and voice your opinions, and but do it in a constructive way that's not going to hurt yourself. That's really important. So many people that are defiant, and we all know somebody that is a destructive defiant.
They take it to the extreme.
Relative.
Yeah.
Sorry?
They take it to the extreme. The great level, and they ruin everything.
And they just don't understand that what destructive defiance and how bad it can be. So just thinking of an example of a destructive defiance is when I was young, we used to have at home, Mum used to cook on these stoves that had the elements that would get red hot. I don't know if you know those type of stove tops.
Yes.
And I would have been, maybe 6 or 7, and Mum said, don't touch the stove. So I touched the stove and I burnt my finger, and that's destructively defiant. And I think if Mum, not knowing that it was hot being a young child, but I think if Mum would have said to me, look, I know you want to touch it, but this is what's going to happen if you do touch it. And, this is a consequence of that. You're going to have a big welting blister on your finger for days. And if, I don't think anyone is stupid. They're just uneducated. And I was uneducated, so I touched it and I suffered the consequence. And so, that's the difference between destructive and constructive.
Exactly. And I think that parents play a pivotal role in how kids become powerful adults, and I often think, like in the sales process, that when you're a kid, kids oftentimes will ask, hey, I want some candy. I'd love some candy. And they're very, very good at being persuasive naturally. They're very, very good at aggressively asking for things. And all too often, parents will say, don't speak unless spoken to, and they'll tend to try to get the children to kind of dial it back, or to not say anything at all, or to kind of push that behavior down. And what that does then later in life is it creates somebody that is more passive. And what you end up doing then is you end up getting books that kind of teach you, once again, how to have that natural ability to go out and to be an aggressive, I don't want to say aggressive because that can be a little bit harsh, but to be someone who's not afraid to ask for the sale, and who's not afraid to ask questions, and to not be afraid to be creative and to be expressive and to, share your opinions. And, because a lot of times those behaviors are squashed by parents. And I'm not, and so I really value, and I really think it's awesome what you're doing with Riley, and then also what you're teaching to the athletes that you have at Marconi to get them ready for that competition, by getting their mindset right. And what else do you really kind of instill in the athlete to prepare them for what they're going to go up against mentally?
That's a great question, because some of the athletes we might only have for a couple of hours training a week, but then they'll go home and then they'll be in their own environment around other people that have different mindsets. And parents, I often say parents make or break their kids when it comes to sport or any endeavors. And it's not that they're trying to do the wrong thing. Parents always try to do the right thing, but it's really, really interesting about the psychology and the mindset and about conditioning. We are conditioned to be safe. Our parents hold our hand to cross the road when we're young because they don't want us to get hurt. They don't want us to run out and get hit by a car. So, and our whole lives are about being safe. And we are so conditioned to not take those risks. Not that you should run out across the road when you're a young child, but we are conditioned to stay there, don't move, be quiet, and don't attract attention.
Right.
And that's interesting when it comes to marketing, because you want to be the complete opposite. You want to attract attention. So we are conditioned, and it's only I read a study somewhere. I don't have the exact who the author was, but the study was that around 80% of kids follow in the same career paths as their parents, because parents, if you told a parent, "Hey, I'm going to go skydiving tomorrow," they'd be like, "No, don't do that."
Yes.
Why would you do that? And I remember when I was about to take on the lease for the first time with the tennis center, my mum said to me, "Why are you going to run a tennis center? It's going to rain." And she never did. It's going to rain a lot, and the statistics on raining was about 4% that interfered with the play over time. But my mum's came from a loving place of didn't want to see me get hurt.
Right.
But if I took my mum's advice, you're right, don't do it, I wouldn't have be where I am today with my business and what I've learned over that journey as well. So parents and people in your immediate vicinity want to keep you in a safe environment, and you're conditioned to be safe from a young age. I mean, I read a lot. I love reading. I didn't used to read when I was younger, and I regret that. I think that my wife has a passion for reading, and that's translated to Riley. He's got those reading genes, which is brilliant because he loves reading. And I love reading now because of the different perspectives that I get, and it really opens up my eyes. And one of the things I love reading when it comes to elite sports is the psychology on why we do things and why we don't do things. And that conditioning is is from the environments that we live in. And so when I work with someone for 2 hours, it gets all undone very, very quickly. So I try to get the buy-in of the parents, and be part of that team. Tennis, might be an individual sport when you're playing on a tennis court, but it is not an individual sport at a high level. No. You won't see any pro tennis player walk out on the court, and that's, they're the only one there to support themselves. They're not. They've got a whole entourage up in the stands that are in the background, working, conditioning that player's mindset to, take the right risks to be successful. And that's, like we're going to talk about mentors and things like that and surrounding yourself with the right people. But our parents love us, but they either make or break you. And, you don't want a parent that encourages you to go skydiving, but you do want parents to encourage you to take risks, that, not silly risks, but take risks, and not become the doctor because your mum and dad are a doctor.
Right.
Not that that's a bad thing. I mean, gee, if I was a doctor, I'd be making a lot more money than I am now. But but if you look at it, 80% of our kids do follow in the career paths of their parents because the parents know what that involves, so they're able to guide their children into that path.
Right.
So yeah, mindset. It's we're conditioned, and it's very, 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 very challenging to habits are formed through repetition. Conditioning, and you need to get good at tennis. You need to hit repetition, hit lots and lots of tennis balls, and you can teach someone the technique on how to do it, but it's the feeling and that you can't teach feeling.
Yeah, and it really sounds to me that the parents have to be just as on board with the mindset as the athlete. Like everyone has to be working together in partnership, in unison. It's almost like a boxer, in the ring, and they have everyone in the corner, and after the boxer finishes round one, they have somebody wiping them down, somebody giving them ice, somebody giving them water. And it seems like that's pretty much what tennis is like. And you don't think that, you see the guy out or the gal out in the court and they look like they're alone, it's not the case.
Definitely
it's a
not
full
alone.
group.
It is. Wow. I mean, you look at Serena Williams at the US Open a couple of years ago, and her coach came out, because she got point penalized for coaching her coach coaching her from the stands. I think they're going to be changing the rules over the next. I think they're starting to change the rules to allow coaching, because they do it. They all do it, and they've always done it, whether it's signals or whatever. But
wow.
And if you look at any other sport, they're allowed to coach.
Yeah.
Boxing, you sit down and you got your trainer in the corner going, keep your hands up, giving you all the tactics.
We see what's happened to baseball in America right now with, signals being called from the dugout to the batter, and, with pitches being called, and, it's just, it's things have really kind of changed, and, maybe the quarantine will kind of help wash this away and make things better. I don't know. But on that topic of quarantine and this whole weird time that we're living in, it's a very sad time too, with, the many deaths and sicknesses. And I mean, it's just so unusual. It's a unique time in business and everything. What has changed for you? What has changed for your family? Like what is it like right now?
So in our environment, we're fortunate. Our population is very spread out. We only have about 27 to 28 million people in Australia. Probably the same land mass as America, but most of the people live on the eastern seaboard of Australia. The coastlines. So we're fortunate that we're not densely living on top of each other. So our outbreaks I heard on the news this morning that there was an outbreak at a nursing home, probably about 15 miles from my place, and we've only recorded less than 70 deaths as of this recording. So our government is very strict on isolation, lockdowns. All the clubs, so many businesses are closed. You're probably experiencing the same thing.
Yes.
One of the first things that we did was we shut our tennis center. We have squash courts as well. They were immediately stopped because they're indoors. Tennis, we allowed bookings in the beginning for people to go out and just have a hit, but we locked that down, and we're only just now allowing, under strict conditions, people to hire a tennis court and get out, because people are going stir crazy, stuck at home, and they need to get out. So we've just introduced a thing, book a court for $5, so which is nothing. They can book online, so they don't have to interact with anybody, and they can go down, let themselves in, and they get to run around and play tennis for an hour for $5.
That's awesome.
So we're going to do that over the next couple of weeks, see how things go, and hopefully restrictions will eventually get lifted a little bit more as the environment gets safer.
So what's it like family-wise for you? Like, how has the family adjusted to the home life?
Well, my work has always allowed me, because I run my own business, to to be a homebody, to do a lot of marketing, reading, then go to the tennis center. I've got employees that run the center, that run the site. Riley, being at home now, he sits on the computer and he goes, "Dad, what's for lunch?" And then I'm making him lunch. And then I go, "How you going?" He goes, "Good." Yeah, I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I'm doing an assignment." I went, "Okay, great." Michelle is an accounts manager at a white goods company, so she is off, working every day. But then they cut her down to 4 days. They cut her a day, and then so she's been doing a 4-day week for the last couple of weeks, and now they're starting to get busy, because they're realizing that, this is really interesting, they're realizing that people are not going out to the shops and buying new washing machines and new fridges. They're the white goods. And so they're wanting to get their old ones repaired, and that's the company that she works for. They go out and repair washing machines and fridges and dishwashers, things like that. So they're starting to pick up. So she's back to work 5 days a week now.
Wow. Okay. Well, in regards to business, in regards to the coronavirus, what types of things are, I know we're talking, you had mentioned that you're offering the $5 to go in and do a hit and kind of get out and get away from being stir crazy in your house. What are you doing marketing wise? Because I know with Ruff House Marketing right now, we're encouraging our customers, like we have a lot of real estate customers. We have folks that right now can't meet with customers, and so we're telling them to get in front of their cell phones and do some virtual meetings. And you could still meet with your customers, talk about their questions that they may have, provide answers, provide value, and help them to get to the next stage. That way, when this economy comes back, they're ready to hit the ground running. But people could be working on things like content calendars. People could be working on things like offering value to their customers right now with online, or even providing a pivot, like restaurants here locally. Instead of being open and having people come in, the pivot factor is, what, we're going to have no contact. We're going to do curbside, or we're going to have it delivered to your house, put it on your porch. You pay with a credit card. There's totally no contact. And it's been great that a lot of businesses have been making this pivot. And, I think coming out of this, we may see a totally different economy, or some new models emerge, but like, let's talk about marketing a little bit, and kind of like what you see, what you're doing, and kind of how you're addressing the communication side of things.
Yeah. So one of the marketing strategies that we have is not to think short term. So I think short term thinking, you can't build relationships in short term marketing strategies or tactics. Actually, I was talking to one of our favorite restaurants the other day. The owner, who is only doing takeaway, I gave him a suggestion, because I saw a lot of his posts on Facebook of all the delicious food that he was doing, and I said, "Why don't you post a picture of your family sitting down eating your takeaway food, because that's who you're asking to come to your restaurant. Families that can't get out and eat out, they got to eat in.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great that, the next night I saw there was his 3 kids sitting around the pizza boxes, with his restaurant name. And from our family to yours, we know people are doing it tough, but we're open and you can get takeaway from us. And I felt that was 1,000 times better, because everyone else is doing the same thing. How was he going to stand out? Everyone's got lovely looking food on Facebook and Instagram. It all looks good, but where's the familiarity of I'm just like you?
That is so timely. That communication strategy is so timely and so relevant, and really hits people kind of where they are right that moment. And
Absolutely.
So it was so important. And I should tell the people who are watching this that for Stewart, besides running and being the owner of Marconi Tennis and Squash, he also runs a marketing firm there in Australia as well. And so, he and I, we each run, like, I guess we can call them like sister marketing firms, and our brother and sister marketing firms. I don't know. And
we are different, but because I say risotto, and what do you say?
Risotto.
Well,
Risotto.
we're totally different. No. It's risotto.
Well, now the bad one is a can.
Oh, aluminium. Oh, yeah. So it's aluminium, an aluminium can.
No, it's an aluminum Coke can. Aluminum.
What's that? Aluminium.
People need to comment on this on YouTube. It's aluminum, not. How do you say it? Aluminium.
That's exactly right.
Let's see. Okay. Now I don't know if I want to get. Okay, potato. You say potato, right?
Cross potato. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else? It's kind of odd.
You thought I was going to say potato or something. Right?
I mean, well, in America we do that. In America there are some people that say things kind of wonky.
Actually, I know one of our clients is he's a fruiterer, and he said to me he was going to bring me a cantaloupe, and he goes, "I bet you don't know what that is." And I said, "Well, that's the American version of a rock melon." And he went,
"What's a rock melon?"
So what's a cantaloupe?
I don't know what a rock melon is. I know what a cantaloupe is.
Right. Well, we don't call it a cantaloupe in Australia. We call it a rock melon.
Do you call a watermelon a watermelon?
A watermelon's a watermelon, yeah. Okay. But a cantaloupe is a rock melon.
So do you call it a rock melon because it's rather hard?
Yeah, I have no idea. It's just, conditioning again, brought up that way. So
yeah, no, for those folks that are watching this, we had I had an emergency phone call from Stewart the other, it was 11 p.m. your time. Stewart and his family were actually in bed, and they had a discussion about the term risotto while watching Hell's Kitchen, and they knew that I was going to say it incorrectly, so they called me and had me say it
incorrectly. I knew you were going to say it because the American the show, they said risotto, and I said it's risotto, and Michelle laughed, and I said Donald would be let's ring him. Yes. So we got him online, and he was like a bit perplexed at my request, but yeah.
Yep. And we did, but then I was just shocked when you said aluminium, because I was totally lost at that point.
Riley threw that one in. He goes,
yeah, well, that was a good one, because I had no idea what that was. So that was great. But so I know we've gone on here for about 34 minutes. Some key takeaways, I guess, that we could kind of talk about here, and I have some videos on our website already on like Ruff House, for example, about some things that we can do during this time. But you hit it on the head when you were talking about the importance of thinking this through long term. But also with your customer, you also have to be able to relate to people in what they're dealing with right now. Having the family sit around the table, from our family to your family, you had them show empathy. You had them in the place where everyone else was. That's important. It's important for people to communicate with empathy right now, but it's also important for people with their customers just to communicate right now, just to let them know that they're still there, that they care. And then, for me, it just comes down to, during this time, just make sure that you are staying engaged one way or another, because a lot of businesses I see in this area, they've decided to use this time to pull back. And for me, I think that's a mistake. I see this time as a chance for businesses to really kind of capture brand. And one of the things I would encourage people to do is since people are using their phones and website, or their phones and their computers to do like online ordering, like for food and things like that, to invest in the search for near me. You know how on Google they can do the, Google near me or whatever. You can buy ads and placements around the whole search near me feature. And I know locally some businesses have actually seen some great results, because when people are looking for things near me, they're actually seeing some superb results. But what other advice would you give some business owners right now, who might be kind of pulling their hair out, thinking kind of, how are we going to get through? I have employees. What advice would you give them to stay strong during this time?
Well, I think fear is, our brains have two things: survival and rewards. We want to survive and we want to be rewarded. And it's really important to understand why these businesses are not stepping up and putting themselves out there. And it's pure fear. It's fear of not really knowing what to say, fear of what are people going to think of me. So my suggestion is everyone is judged. This is really important. People say, oh, you're not being judged. I don't care about being judged. Everyone cares about being judged. It's actually one of our biggest fears, of what other people think of us. And they're right. We are judged. And it's really important to understand, back to, education and understanding why things are, about destructive defiance and constructive defiance. We are judged, but we're not judged on the failure. We're only judged on our reaction to that failure, how we respond to that failure. So people are failing to market themselves. You're judged on how that failing to do something. It's not the fail, it's your response to the fail. Right. So if you fall over and you stay down, you're being judged not on falling over, but because you're staying down. Right. So, we all want our clients to judge us in a great light, to think of that we're great at what we do, and because we are great at what we do. But the only way for our clients or potential customers to see how great we are is to get up, because that's what we're being judged on. We're either being judged in a positive light or in a negative light. And so if we sit on our hands and don't do anything, so the reason why they're not getting up is because they're scared of what the people are thinking. They're thinking negative of you because you're not doing anything. Right. And I'll give people a really good tip, and I've heard you say this before: write things down. We've got all these great ideas in our head, but then the phone rings. We've got all these great ideas in our head, but then somebody asks for our help. And at the end of the day, these great ideas, unless they're actioned, they're just ideas. So we'll talk about it.
You got to journal every day.
And you know what? And by the end of 1 week, you would have written down half a dozen things to a dozen things that you can put in a Facebook post as a bullet point on how to help or somebody that come in and when things are all over with what's going on, put some positive things out there that can help people at this time. But even if you've got all the great ideas in your head, but unless you write them down, you can't action them in a meaningful way. So don't plan to do anything with it, because at the end of the week, you'll go, hey, I've got this great stuff. I'm going to do it. And you will compel yourself to do it, because you'll look down and you'll go, wow, hey, I don't need to sit down and write it all out. I've already done it. So one little step at a time. At the end of the week, you'll have, a page. And, do you know how books are written? One sentence, one word at a time. And unless you write them down, everyone's got a book in their head, but no one's going to read it unless you write it down. So one word at a time, write one idea down a day. That if I had a client come in my door today, how can I make their lives better? And what value can I give them? Write down a value, something that you can add value, how you can add value down one a day for 7 days. And at the end of 7 days, you've got a great Facebook post. And a year and a bit ago, I made these videos with Riley on how to hit a tennis ball, how to hold a tennis racket. And I had a lady ring me, and she goes, wow, I watch these videos and I want my son to come to your tennis center. Why are you giving away all these free stuff on the thing? I said, because it shows people what we can do. And even though I was giving away stuff for free, she still wanted to come and be a client at our business. So don't be scared to give away stuff.
Oh yeah.
That's again, fear of not getting paid, or we're going to run out of time today, but a lot of people don't realize that people should be giving so much away.
Oh yeah.
The more you give, you will receive tenfold, because that's a long term. That's the long-term strategy.
It comes right back to you.
Absolutely. It might not be today, might not be tomorrow. It might be in 3 years' time. But, you don't want to create short-term relationships, because nobody's going to remember you. You want to create long-term relationships. So the more you can give away, that's memorable. That was a memorable thing. And that lady and is still a client to this day. So, the more you give away, look at all the things that you can give away that are not going to hurt your business. You don't want to put yourself in debt giving things away. But me creating a little video on how to do something very simple, how to hold a tennis racket, become, a great opportunity to show potential clients who we are. So, mobile phones are fantastic.
Just like this, free tips.
Free tips, absolutely. Free tips. I mean, if you make pizza, show someone, don't have to show them all the, your special ingredients that your grandma gave you, but, show them how, I reckon if you sell pizzas, show someone how to throw it in the air and without getting it stuck on the roof.
Yeah.
Like, I would watch that and I would go,
try it.
Yeah. You might not be able to go show someone in person how to do it, but you can teach somebody the technique, a little 2-3 minute video. I'm sure they're on YouTube already, but you could, if you're in a local, if you're somewhere, you could, and you can even make that an ad. That would stand out there. I just gave a great idea for the local pizzeria.
And if somebody already is doing this, comment below in YouTube and let us know. And if this is I think this will make a great challenge for anybody. Couple more quick things. I know we're 44 minutes in. Stewart, what is your favorite social media and why?
I think Facebook is just very simple. Very simple. Instagram is great as well, because I can post there and then have it linked straight through to the Facebook feed without having to do anything other than press a button. So definitely Instagram and Facebook. Yeah, I think YouTube for a long-term marketing strategy, because the videos are up there and people can always look back on them archived. So, and it's great content. When I'm getting a little bit depressed thinking, oh, I haven't made anything for a while. I look back and go, wow, look at all the videos I've made over the years, and it adds up. But you might not do anything for a long time, but do something,
and
create
keep in mind, anything that you make, you can take this long form like you just did here, and you could splice it up and use it as smaller version content throughout your media, throughout Instagram, throughout Facebook, throughout Twitter. And so you can take this long content and turn it into smaller pieces of content by editing it. And you could even also turn it into a text format, into an article, and publish it in a blog. And so there are a lot of things that we can do with just this piece. For me, I actually like, and I know I might draw some criticism, but I really enjoy Twitter personally, not necessarily for customers that I deal with, but for me personally, I love it because I actually do a lot of research with it. Like when I am looking to invest, like for example, in a stock or whatever, I'll type in the stock name and stuff, and I'll just look at what the reactions are of people that are getting interested in that product, in that stock, and just kind of see kind of what the public are thinking about it. But then also too, I actually go to Twitter for a lot of news, which is kind of interesting. And then there's some great content there. And I love Instagram. Instagram with not only the photography, but also IGTV, IG Live. I'm really liking the IG Live component right now. And I think that you and I need to do an IG Live here soon because it's really kind of cool. And people can get on and just ask you random questions, and it's really slick. And so another question that I have, what are you reading right now?
Oh, gee, I've got a couple of books. I downloaded on my Kindle Flip Anything USA. That was a book about real estate.
Okay.
Definitely Ogilvy on advertising. Yeah. I watched your interview the other day, and you brought out.
Oh, that's a classic.
Yeah, that's really good, actually. A lot of books I've read. The Little Red Book of Advertising, is that?
Little Red Book of Selling.
Little Red Book of Selling.
Yep.
That's a great little book.
Yep.
Just so many books. I've got a couple open in my Kindle, a couple of audio books that I've been listening to. Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate, Flip Anything USA. I've got a couple on Audible. Mm-hmm. So definitely got a lot of time to read and listen to books.
Oh, yeah.
There's a really good book by Nick Hall called I Know What to Do, So Why Don't I Do It? If anyone's struggling with, I know I've got to do this marketing. I know I've got to create content. I know I've got to do it. And, it's called I Know What to Do, So Why Don't I Do It? And it's a really good read, that one.
Sweet.
Definitely. I mean, I've got a whole heap.
And see, this is another thing that we have in common. Like, there are videos on YouTube that you and I have had conversations about that we didn't know that each of us have already watched, and then we've had conversations about them. Some of the books that I have, like for example, in Audible right now, are. Let's see here. I've gone through and I've listened to, and this is I've actually read this book on Audible. So I haven't really read it. I've listened to it. Sell It Like Serhant by Ryan Serhant. That book is brilliant. It's about real estate, but more importantly, it's really about selling at a whole different level. And it's about being creative. It's about being, taking your ability and really kind of crushing it at a whole different level, and not being afraid of stepping out of your comfort zone. And I really like Ryan's material. He's all about getting in front of the cell phone camera. He's all about new approaches to marketing and leveraging the technology that exists and doing it in a creative way. And so Selling It Like Serhant is a brilliant read. And Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. I cannot stress it. I've said that on every podcast I've been on. That is a brilliant book to read if you're building a marketing plan for your organization. You need to build it around storytelling. The one thing you need to understand is your mind from the very beginning has been conditioned to relate and kind of really enjoy stories. And so you need to learn how to tell a good story and position your product, your service, your personal brand around that story. And so, formats like this, with you and I talking, we're able to tell our story together and be able to share and be able to kind of, include our businesses in that as well to help other people to be successful. The last book, I love history, and working from home right now, you can probably see I have a phonograph, maybe not. I have an Edison 1905 phonograph in the background. But Mornings by Horseback, David McCullough. He also wrote a book on Truman. This is a book on Teddy Roosevelt. Brilliant read. I'm really, really enjoying this right now. It's all about the Roosevelt family from the very, very beginning, and about a third of the way through right now. But it's all about Teddy from his childhood all the way up. So, final quick thing. We're talking about giving things away, adding value. We're adding to roughhousemarketing.com. There's going to be a link added to the website that is going to give you, just by putting your email address in, 100 ideas for content for social media. So, how Stewart was saying that, you got to journal every day. Well, we did that. We put together 100 ideas for you to come up with some creative content for your social media. So you can go to roughhousemarketing.com, put in your email address, get that content sheet. It's a PDF. You just download it. You're good to go. Stewart, you have anything to add?
Yeah, perspective. Like people need to change their perspective because perspective sells, and you're not going to sell anything unless you change it and change other people's perspective, especially of the way they see your business.
Absolutely.
So yeah, change your perspective. Read a book, write something down, ask for help. I think we people watching this should realize that that is silly to try to do everything yourself. You want to reach out, download the PDF that Donald just mentioned on his website, roughhousemarketing.com, and get some ideas and then take action. To me, a personal, simple way of looking at what success is learn, grow, and take action. So if you don't do that, you're going to be stuck. So yeah, that's it.
Well, Stewart, I appreciate it. Guys, if you want to contact either one of us, at the very bottom, you can see a crawl that has my email address, Stewart's email address, as well as marconitennis.com.au to reach out to Stewart at Marconi. And I don't know if we could do like a fist bump or something. Let's see. I don't know if I could. Elbow. Can we do an elbow? There we go. I got my elbow up in the right spot. There we go. Yeah. All right. So, Stewart, I thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate it, brother. Stay safe. I wish you and your family all the best. Send love
to you guys,
to everyone. And I enjoyed this. This was a lot of fun. We're gonna have to do this again, maybe on IG Live. And
and I was worried we wouldn't come up with anything to talk about. So, and we've been going for nearly an hour. So.
Please, no, this is a lot of fun. I enjoy this. We could do this even longer. So, all right, sir. Thank you so much.
All right.
Take care.
You stay safe.
See you. Bye-bye.